Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'm working on a 2004 Volkswagen Jetta TDI. This has the 1.9 liter engine. One of the issues I'm having that I've been struggling with for some time here is that you start the car and you turn the steering wheel just a slight amount and it will make this horrible screeching noise. I'm going to go ahead and start it up here and show you what I'm talking about. So this car was doing a horrible screeching noise. It was previously my parents' car since it's been brand new, and they decided to go ahead and just hand it off because they were tired of fixing things on it. It's coming up on about 300,000 miles. They took it to a shop, and the shop wanted to replace the rack and pinion in this vehicle along with a couple other things, because it was making a crazy screeching noise. I used the stethoscope on it. Noticed that the tensioner here was making tons of noise right down there. So I went ahead and replaced that, thinking that it was not creating enough tension for the serpentine belt. After replacing that, it still did the noise. Maybe it got a little worse. Replaced the belt on it, the serpentine belt, and the noise went away for a very small period of time. Then I came back and did some research and realized that there is a double clutch on the alternator. So I went through and did some research, ended up replacing the alternator, and it actually fixed it. Go ahead and watch the video and I will explain and guide you on how to replace this and what the noise is that the car is making. Alright, so in order to attempt to correct this sound, I'm going to actually replace my alternator. So in order to do that, you'll need a 10mm wrench. Go ahead and remove your battery terminals from your battery. Just removing the ground, and we'll tuck it under here. Next thing you'll want to do is come over here. You can lift up the back and the front of your plenum. It should just lift it off. Sort of pops off. Next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to come over to your tensioner here, right on the bottom down here. You'll use a 5/8 or a 16mm wrench. Right on your top of your tensioner, there's a place to put an open-end wrench, and then you'll pull it toward the front of the car. That will release tension on your serpentine belt here, enough to where you can remove it from the alternator, and then you can release your tensioner. So you can see there that the belt is off the pulley now. Hand was probably in the way, but it is off the pulley. And now we will start to remove the alternator. Next thing you'll want to do is remove the two electrical connections on the back here. This tab might be pretty stiff on there, so you have to press down right where my thumb is pretty hard and then pull back, and it'll come off that way. Make sure you don't pry on it because it'll just end up breaking. Then you'll want to use either a flathead screwdriver or something with a point. Before doing this, make sure your battery is disconnected, which ours is. And there is a rubber boot on the back where the main power lead comes off or connects. You'll want to go ahead and remove that and then put it away safely. Once you have that cap removed, you'll want to remove this nut. Again, make sure the battery is disconnected, but you'll want to turn this to your left, which would be counterclockwise, and I'm actually going to use a 1/2" wrench on this. So broke it loose. Once you break it loose, you should just be able to remove it with your fingers. Alright, I have that removed. I'm going to set that with my cap here. And then this wire, you see I just removed the terminal going to it. It looks like there's another clip on the bottom, and it looks like an 8mm right down here, and you'll have to use another wrench to get that. It does not look like a socket will fit in there. So go ahead and break that down there loose and remove the bolt or the nut holding it on. To be removed right up on top here, they're also 13mm. So remove all 5 of those bolts, 3 on the tensioner and 2 on the alternator. You will be able to remove that with just a simple wrench. An extension with a ratchet would work easiest, although you do have a lot of stuff in your way here, so using this will work. Break them loose and you should be able to spin them all by hand. Alright, so ready to remove this. Grab the pry bar. I'm going to put it on the bottom of the alternator first. Try to pry against the bracket. Then I'm going to put it right up here on the top. I'll pry out on that. Go back to the bottom. Walk it out on each side. Alright, see if that did it. Alternator is now removed. You just have to walk it out a little bit at a time. Now take your alternator and compare it to the new replacement. Don't forget to pull this cap off of here. You want to put this on your new alternator if it did not come with one. Alright, so I'm going to show you here. This is my old alternator. And I bought a used remanufactured one. They just replaced the parts on this that are bad. So this one here, it spins. It's not noisy or anything like that, but you can see that if you put a finger here, it's not turning back and forth. Now on the new replacement one, it does make a little bit of noise, which you'd think it'd be quieter, but this here, you can see that this actually spins without, and this one will not do that. So this one is seized right there. I don't know what they call it exactly, but it's a clutch in there, and this needs to be able to spin. I believe that's why it's squealing. I could have just replaced this whole piece here since my alternator was still good, but I didn't want to deal with anything as far as taking this apart and pulling it and pressing it off. And I picked this up off of eBay from a guy that has 100% feedback, and it was only $67. So I figured I'd just replace the whole thing rather than spending 40 or 50 bucks on just this piece. So here we have it. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this. I've compared them and they match up just fine. And yeah, I've compared them. We'll reinstall it in the reverse order. They are both Bosch alternators. I highly recommend getting OEM or OEM equivalent alternators, just so you get something you can trust. This has about 300,000 miles on it. Still charges the car, but that little clutch part of the alternator has failed me finally. So I'm going to install this and hopefully that squeal goes away. Alright, so first step to replacing it is you'll want to make sure that you drop this down, get your wires out of the way. I think it'll be easier to get it into place and then attach these connections on the side, especially that small 8mm one. So I'm gonna try to press. We have to pry on it a little bit. I'm gonna use this part of the car right here. So probably end up needing a rubber mallet. There's not much to pry on here. And when you use the mallet, I suggest only, you could use a punch or something here or a block of wood. But you'll want to just hit these pieces. You do not want to smash on this stuff here. You'll end up breaking it. So in order to get this back in place, I'm going to try using a mallet, but I'm going to try to start the lower bolt here before I try to push it, because it looks like it could be lined up already. Now, since I have all the electrical reconnected on the back of the alternator and this torqued down, I'm going to go ahead and install the tensioner. Again, torque down the 3 bolts on the tensioner to 18 foot-pounds and then reinstall the belt. Last step will be to reconnect the battery and then go ahead and start it up and test it out. When reconnecting the wiring on the back of the alternator here, just this here, do not over tighten this nut here. You'll end up stripping it out or damaging something. So just give it just a tiny bit snug. Doesn't have to be a whole fistful of strength there. And then clip this in, reattach your little strap down at the bottom there. That's a little time consuming to get into position, but it does end up working out fine. And once you have those done, you're good to put the plenum back on, and we'll start it up and see if the sound goes away. I'm going to show you here that it did go away. Turning the wheel. Alright, so I am actually super excited that that has fixed my problem, and I hope this helps everybody else that is having that same annoying screeching problem. It is pretty embarrassing, and I'm glad that it's gone. If I didn't have a cold right now, I'd sound a little happier, but I've thrown a couple parts at it trying to fix that screeching. I've even used the stethoscope trying to find that, and that's what made me replace the tensioner. But everything seems to be golden now, so I'm excited that that is done, and I hope this video has helped. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Like I said, I have almost 300,000 miles on this, and I have done quite a bit of work for it, so I will continue to post videos. It's been an amazing vehicle, and thanks again for watching. Have a great day.